Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, PattSun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/surviving infidelity, where OP's wife is angry that her affair is getting exposed. Let's begin. My wife is upset at me for telling people about their affair and exposing the piece of trash affair partner to his family. Posted by Reddit user randomhex38.
My wife, who cheated on me with her boss at her old job, is mad at me for exposing the AP to his whole family, and she's upset that I'm telling everyone. She left me on my birthday to be alone with him, and they made out until the dude's wife got home. They were still talking and going to the movies together, going to his house, the gym with him, and he pretended to be my friend through the whole ordeal. She fucked on our anniversary and kissed me on my birthday after she had made out with him just a few minutes ago when I picked her up. She sent him nudes later. Turns out I texted her in the middle of her fucking this dude, in the back of his car in the park where we took our wedding photos. Man, there's so much more I don't even know what else to say, like this was really bad. On top of this, she was sexting other dudes she met on Whisper, posting about how she wanted sex from someone who doesn't care about her, even after this. He picked her up at our apartment. She dressed up in front of me, and dropped her off while I was in the room, and came back home as he gently parked and gave her a kiss goodbye so she could run upstairs and kiss me hello. Oh, and when I texted her during the 10 minutes of sex I didn't know about, I asked her if she was okay because she said she went out to go journaling. Her response was, yeah, just writing it all out. And now she's mad at me for exposing the affair partner. She's mad that I'm telling everyone. Why the fuck is she complaining about the fact that she's so sad about this and no one will talk to her, but I'm getting in trouble and yelled at by her when I do tell people? 0% of this information was confessed by her. It was done by me by scraping the internet and texting her fuck buddy. She only confessed when I knew everything. She talked shit behind my back to him, which is the most hurtful part in my opinion. I saw the Snapchats of them flirting. That pain will never ever leave me. The words have been branded with a hot iron into my brain.
OP, this looks like you're not focusing on the right things. I mean, why the fuck are you still with her, man? Why aren't you divorced yet? You already know enough to know that your relationship with her can never be a healthy one because she has no respect for you. I mean, it's just strange. Very strange. It's almost like you're enjoying this. You seem more upset that she's angry with you for exposing them rather than you being angry at her because she's been fucking other men. Look, OP, this is so toxic. You need to cut her out of your life and let her go be a terrible person to someone else. And now, for today's second story. I think my brother-in-law cheated on my sister, but I'm not sure. Posted by Reddit user ThrowarA Warnsa839.
Story 2. I'm 27. I have a sister who is 36 as she's married to James, who is also 36. Early summer we went on vacation to the beach, along with my parents, boyfriend, and my sister and her husband's kids. While we were there, a friend of mine from college, Ava, texted me and said she was nearby and asked if I wanted to meet up for a few drinks. I said sure and invited my sister and brother-in-law along with us. My sister wasn't feeling well, but told James to go out and have a few drinks so he came along. James is normally very quiet and doesn't talk to many people. He's just a pretty reserved guy. But him and Ava hit it off right away when James recognized one of Ava's tattoos from a really obscure band that turned out was both of their favorites. I heard James talk more to Ava in the floor hours we were there than I've heard him say to my boyfriend, ever. At one point I went outside for a minute then came back in. They weren't at the bar anymore and I didn't see them for another 45 minutes, but I wasn't actively looking for them. They claimed they were at the upper bar upstairs. After that, James and Ava added each other on all their socials. They interact with each other more than anyone else, and mind you, before this James was never on social. But the minute Ava posts something, he's the first to like or comment on it. 2 months after we saw each other, Ava moved with a new job to a town about 20 minutes from the town we live in. James, who as far as I know has never had any reason to go there, is now always talking trips there. He claims he likes the stores there better than the ones he used to go to in a different town about 10 minutes away. But he just made this switch recently, about the same time Ava moved. Last night Ava announced she's pregnant, but she has no boyfriend anywhere on her page. She didn't tag anyone in the post other than her family, but she captioned the picture of the announcement. We are so excited to announce the arrival of our newest edition, May 20th, 23. I want to message her congratulations and ask who the baby's father is. I'm not alone for thinking it might be my brother-in-law's right. I don't want to accuse anyone of anything, but my boyfriend thinks so too. By the way, I have tried to share some of these concerns with my sister. She was doing something else for her son, so I don't think she really was listening to me. But she's going through some health stuff with their oldest, so I don't want to push things and stress her out too much if I'm not sure there's something going on. I'm going to talk to my sister again and tell her the entire situation and all of my concerns. But I wanted to come on here for some outside advice as well before I did. Update: I texted Ava. We're currently catching up now. Update 2: we're still texting. I'm at work, so it's not a continuous convo lol. But basically, what I've gotten so far is that she's keeping her relationship quiet now for privacy reasons. But it is someone I know.
OP, if I were you, I'd absolutely do some research and some investigation on my sister's behalf. It's best to present her with evidence rather than suspicions. That's the best course of action in my opinion. But seriously, we're gonna need an update on this one. Oh, wait, that's exactly what we have.
Update: so a very happy conclusion from my last post. I texted Ava and told her congratulations. We began catching up, and when the topic of her baby's father came up, she said that they were in a relationship, but she's keeping it quiet for now for privacy reasons. But then I did know him. I obviously found this really suspicious, and she really wouldn't say much more than that about him. But we kept talking, and eventually I asked her if we could meet up for some tea, and she said yes. So once I got off my shift, I went over and met up with her. So basically, the topic of her baby's father came up again, and she said the reason why she was keeping the relationship quiet on social media, and all of that was because not all of his family had met her. And then she mentioned that the father had an ultra-religious grandmother, and they wanted to tell her about the pregnancy in person, and so she didn't want the grandmother seeing anything on his Facebook. James's grandmother is super religious, so at this point I straight up asked her, "Are you having a baby with James?" And she immediately started laughing. And she was like, "Yeah, I could see why you would think that. But she isn't. She's dating James's brother Thomas, who's 30 and a pretty cool guy. And it's kind of worth noting that this is another reason why she's keeping the relationship on the down low. Even though he's been clean for almost a decade, he did have substance abuse issues and a record. And she said even though she's fine with it and all of that, Thomas wants her family to meet him first, before possibly hearing something that isn't true about him. So anyway, yeah, that first night they met, James told Ava that he thought her and Thomas would have a lot in common, so he gave her his number, and after they hit it off right away and she moved to be closer to him. Now she's pregnant, and they're getting an apartment together. My sister knows Thomas and Ava are dating. But again, my nephew is going through some health things, so it's not super shocking she didn't mention it to me. And Ava did say Thomas specifically asked them for discretion about it all, until they decided to make everything public. So I'm really happy it's cleared up. Ava and I talked for a while and I'm really tired, so if I left anything out or anything didn't make sense, just ask me for clarification. And P.S. I told James all about this. He thought it was hilarious that I thought he was slick enough to be able to pull off having a second life like this.
Wow, that was a roller coaster of emotions. Holy shitballs. I really thought that your brother-in-law got her pregnant, but it turns out the brother-in-law was just probably visiting them during his trips. And honestly, that's really sweet. And for those of you watching and or listening that are wondering why they are so concerned about the ultra-religious grandmother, hey man, look, for some people this is a very legitimate concern. Trust me on this. As someone who was born and raised in a very religious and conservative Asian country, their concern is really legit. I mean, I had this acquaintance back in my college days that got disowned by their parents simply because they got into a relationship before they finished their studies. Like, literally, they got kicked out of the house. That's just fucked up in my opinion, but I guess to each his own. So, I hope my little anecdote will provide you a little bit more perspective. And now, for today's final story. I love my husband, but I'm falling for someone else. Posted by Reddit user Championship OK4204.
TLDR, I went on a dating app to catch my chronic cheating husband and confront him. Instead, I found an old classmate that I've started to fall for. I'll preface this by saying I really do love my husband, and me falling for someone else was never intended. I, 19 female, got married to my husband, 20, Liam, earlier this year. He's my longest relationship and has always mostly made me happy. Here's the issue. He's a chronic cheater. It started when I glanced at his phone one day and noticed he was texting his ex. So I did what any other girl would do, and I looked through his phone to find that he wasn't just talking to her, but other females as well. Of course, this crushed me, and I confronted him a few days later, to which he blocked them all in front of me. Ever since then, I would check his phone randomly, sometimes finding the messages with codes to access online dating apps, and eventually figuring out he also has a child. I don't have a problem with this, other than he didn't tell me and thought he could hide it. The mother has made it aware. She doesn't want me to be involved with anything, which I understand, but I would like to be notified when our financial situation is being affected, so I can make adjustments. I make more money, so usually bills and budgeting is done by me, but I can't even get that. Recently, I looked through his phone again to find the online dating app codes again, so I finally decided to download the same ones and confront him with hard evidence. The one time I mentioned them, he tried to tell me he logged back in to delete the accounts after being together for almost a year. While I was searching through the apps looking for his profile, my profile blew up. Among them, one caught my eye, a classmate from when I was in high school that I thought had left the town. Not thinking, I swiped back on him, and since then, we've been talking. Not talking like we're trying to date, but catching up since it had been a few years. He's a really sweet, gentle guy, and last night he admitted that he's really started to take an interest to me, and if I'm being honest, the feelings reciprocate. But I love my husband, and I feel so many things wrong for possibly asking for divorce. List includes but not limited to: we haven't been married for a year yet, our families adore us with each other, and have given such extravagant wedding gifts for the both of us that I would feel bad telling them they essentially wasted money, and I just don't want to be a stereotype. More recently, I think I've come more to terms with cheaters are likely to stay cheaters, and no matter how loved he makes me feel, he obviously still needs more than what I give. I'm starting to get tired of repeating how I feel, only to see the same things happening. I'm torn. I want to say I deserve better, but I probably don't, because I started to talk to someone and fell for them. I'm just as bad as him, I feel, at this point, but I'm just tired of trying now. Edit, just to clarify, I have not spoken to said classmate since he made the confession. I told him I appreciate his honesty, but I need to step back before I make any big decisions, while not in the mindset to be making any decisions.
OP, what the hell? 19 and 20 is so young for marriage. I mean, do you really want to spend the rest of your life with a fucking cheater? Someone that is so dishonest? I mean, come on, OP. You already started an emotional affair. It's time to end this, because obviously things are not gonna work out with your serial cheater husband. Leave him. Tell your and his family that he cheated, and they will understand why you left. Tell them that you will return the wedding gifts they bought you if they want. Hopefully, most of them will just say, "Keep it. We're just glad you didn't stay with a cheater." OP, come on. This marriage is so toxic. Get the hell out of it. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my YouTube channel for you to watch absolutely free. So consider clicking that super thanks just below the video title, or you can use my PayPal in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, make sure to subscribe to PattSun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.